Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order. The first item is an action item. It is approving the order of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, great. Okay, the minutes from October, the October 15th meeting, another action item.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, so that's approved, and Sunny's already ready for us over there for the
Ready.
report.
I'm here. All right. So staff updates and staff development activities. We have hired the main LA1 position. So please welcome Peter Hinderly the next time you see him. And then the Carlson LA1 position has been offered. And I don't know if we've told you guys about our new Lucky Day collection at all. No? Okay. So this is a new collection. It's a first come, first serve model. You might be familiar with our new books. They have that little red sticker on them that says new. These ones are green and they say 1 week. They are a 1 week checkout. There are no holds, no reservations on them. So people can just come in and take a very popular book off, and hopefully they'll get it back soon so that we can kind of get it out to more people. No renewals, so we're just trying it out, and so far it seems pretty successful. Programming wise, again, this is just a small list, so for a full list, please go to our website, fargolibrary.org. Children's, on the 27th, we're going to have a Frog and Toad Our Friends event, so come get some snacks for that. Then we're going to have the Nutcracker Sneak Peek Storytime and Ballet class on December 6th. So that is in partnership with Jasper School of Dance and the FM Ballet. Teens, the 21st, we are going to be making Lego ornaments. And then after that, December 7th, we will be making lightsaber crafts. So some fun crafts coming up. Then we also have our YA book club on the 16th of December. We just are pointing out that this month's book is Bloodleaf by Crystal Smith. Coming up in adults, we do have the ongoing Remarkable Women on Screen. So it's a viewing and discussion. On the 24th, we will be watching Erin Brockovich, and then on the 1st of December, we will be watching Hidden Figures. The fall tea testing series continues on the 7th. We'll have 4 different types of tea for people to try out. And then the mental wellness education series is continuing. This next session, which is tomorrow, the 20th, is QPR, Question, Persuade, and Refer for Suicide Prevention. And that is in partnership with the Prairie St. John's Hospital. We have a really fun multi-generational event coming up. It's going to be another trivia at the library, but it's Disney themed this time. We do have 2 separate sessions. One is for adults and teens only, and then the other one will be more suitable for families with kids 6 and up. So the one for adults is going to be on the 26th, and the family-friendly one will be on the 29th. And then upcoming community engagement events, we will be at the Chris Kindle Market on the 21st.
Busy. Did
Busy,
Disney
as
Plus,
always.
As always, did Disney Plus float you guys some money so you guys would have a Disney trivia themed?
Maybe we need to get cleared with them first.
Well, does anybody have questions for Sunny with the report? No, I don't see any questions. You guys are doing an excellent job, as always. It's diverse, it's creative, knocking it out of the park. So, good work. Okay, so that is Sunny's staff report. Now let's go to Tim for the director's report.
Yes, per your packet, you can see my activities, portion anyway, focused on quarterly project meetings with my admin team. You can see them listed there. Spoke at the Grow with Google Spotlight event back on the 30th. I thought overall that was very well attended. There was a lot of people coming and going on that day. So it was an interesting couple months getting ready for that, but I think it was worth it.
Can you remind us what that was again, Tim? I know you explained it.
Essentially, Google's going around to every state in the union and providing free training related to their web tools for businesses, individuals, and nonprofits. And obviously, North Dakota, they coordinated with us, being the largest metro area in North Dakota, and worked with the state library. And so we worked with the Google folks to set up the times and the trainings, and it's their people, and they brought their stuff in, and their own furniture, and the whole 9 yards. And yeah, it was a good day. So yeah, that's essentially what it was. So.
Okay. Any questions for Tim on the director's report?
I have a question. I see that there was a meeting about innovations in collections and services. Is that something that sounded exciting to me. So will we get a report on some of the innovations you guys are coming up with sometime?
Oh, right. That's one of the individual staff teams that we have, and that's the one I'm heading up with several other department heads. And where we are in terms of that particular team is we have scheduled like staff focus groups for February, March to really discuss various aspects of services and collections to kind of get their ideas. And from those ideas is develop a survey tool that will go out to the public with. In other words, it's using the creative and library-focused staff to create options for potential new collections and services and what have you, and then find out in terms of the community, which obviously is certainly important. They're the folks that we want to serve. Find which ones really kind of pique their interest and that kind of thing, and go from there. So that's kind of what that team is up to right now. I know obviously we have a bunch of other teams working on it. We have a response team, programming and promotions. I'm going to see if I can remember all of them. Staff development, communications. I know I'm forgetting one. Anyway, that's my fault. Yeah, so there's a number, and the staff teams, again, it's different teams focused on different aspects of what we're doing across a various segment of the organization, part-time, full-time, department heads, what have you. So it's a way to kind of capture the ideas across the organization to meet the needs. So that's what we got going on with.
Thank you.
I got a question about the sod buster. Is that all? Everything looks completely different out there. Are they all done, or what's the?
Yeah, they're done.
They're done. So that's.
In terms, again, the sod buster portion that you see out there is the initial portion of the greater Civic Plaza that is posited. There's still a lot, and again, these are discussions at the city commission level in terms of the next phase and funding and the timeline in regards to that. So yeah, I think they are done with that particular portion. They worked very, very hard to get it done, and they had a great program. You can see that they had the dedication event, which was really good, and they had the kind of the celebration aspect down the corridor at the library, which was nice to get all these different people in there, and I met the wife of the artist and this kind of thing. So yeah, as near as we know, Sodbuster's done as it is right now. Again, it's part of a greater process, and timing and funding on that is certainly at city.
And they just presented that at the October 21st meeting, like more of a full plan. So if you watch the city commission minutes, I just watched it this weekend, you can see they have so many ideas for the plaza. So check October 21st video.
Okay. Any other questions for Tim?
I see we have a training on bloodborne pathogens.
Yes, it's a fact of life in public spaces. You run into those things, and you want your folks trained for their own safety in dealing with those situations. Obviously, we have folks that we can call right away and get B&G over there to deal with them, but certainly we want our staff educated on that situation, those threats.
Okay. Anything else? No. Okay. Let's move on to the statistical reports.
Yes, again, per your packet, you can see in terms of registered patrons, just over 37,000 registered, and over the past month, the new registration of 666. Attendance for the month of October of 2019 was down 4% over October of 2018, that should say October 2018. Year-to-date, down 5% over across the entire at all three locations, and outreach programming strong, especially in regards to community engagement attendance. Year-to-date, up 28%, which is a little over 6,000 over last year. Volunteer hours up this past month over last October, still down around 89 hours compared to last year. Internet sign-up, down around 14% over last year. Electronic activity, year-to-date, up 10% over last year. In terms of circulation, year-to-date, still up around 2.15% over last year. That's a little, about 18,679, though this past October was down in comparison to last October, a little over 1,100. That's in terms of usage.
Okay, any questions for Tim on usage? No. Okay, let's move on to financials.
Okay, looking at donation summary, you can see restricted donations of $2,250 received this past October. 1,000 of that was a Northport anonymous donor, and the other 1,000 was from Concordia for the One Book, One Community author event. And 250 of that was from the Friends, thank you Friends, for the 2020 Seed Library. On the expenditure side, we had $3,576 in programming, $26.99 from the Northport donor for music streaming. Again, Friends money expended, $51.50 for Northern Narratives, second round printing, $80 worth of seeds for the 2020 Seed Library, $14.67 for Crafternoons, and the big one, thank you again, Friends, for a highly successful One Book, One Community, the balance of $3,403.27 for the author fee. So that was huge. And that was packed. If you were there, it was absolutely packed.
I was gonna ask, did you guys get numbers? And maybe I should have asked Sunny, put you on the spot.
I think
Did
it was
you guys
around
get-
600 something, 450.
Okay, because people were grabbing chairs and
Yeah, it was.
extra chairs and stuff.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Books and materials, that 1,205 was from anonymous donor for the North Dakota collection binding and shipping. And $30, thank you again, Friends, for the Way to Go staff recognition of $30 for the month of October.
Got another question about the One Book, One Community.
Sure.
So in terms of that's one of the events that we're trying to think of down the road for corporate sponsorship. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so that's geared towards more next year. Towards.
Absolutely.
Did we try to?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So it's next year. Okay. Okay. Any questions for Tim on financials?
I can keep going
You can
through
keep
the
going.
operating, yeah.
Okay.
You can see operating through 83% of the year lapsed. We're looking at, in terms of aggregate budget, around just about 79% expended. Keeping an eye on that going through the end of the year. And revenues of just over $47,000 through the end of October.
Any questions on that?
I have a question. So if we go over, like, the allotted amount? Does it come out from other areas, or how does that work? If things are
In
like,
terms of the line items?
yeah, so it's like 106%. Will it come out of a different area, or how does that work?
Right. Obviously, we watch budget with line items. To answer your question real fast, yes. When you get down to the last quarter, the middle of the last quarter of the year, we've been following the budget and saying, okay, we estimate based on the number of years that we've been following these budgets that we do have money that we can utilize. Examples, the extra door we put into the computer lab upstairs in Maine, it's huge, safety and security. So yeah, you have a line item that may go over a certain amount, but in total aggregate budget, we're looking good.
Good.
And we monitor that right down to the end, so.
Any other questions for Tim on finances? No. Okay. Well, today we have a very special guest. We have Mary Beth Hegstad with the Friends of the Library report. So take it away, Mary Beth.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Tim. I'm delighted to be here. You mentioned the One Book, One Community Author event. We were the primary sponsor of that, and we're just delighted by the crowd, by the author who was just fantastic. So and thank you to the library staff for all of their hard work on that really successful, fun event. And we ran out of brochures for the Friends of the Library at that event. So if anybody didn't get one, stop by the bookstore, pick up a membership form, and consider joining us if you're interested in supporting things like that great event and the other things that we do that you hear about, I have no doubt. So that was our big event. We just finished our fall book sale. We'll have another one in the spring. We don't have a lot happening in terms of events, but Jan Murphy has been our longtime bookstore manager, and she is retiring effective December 1st. So I wanted to publicly thank Jan for her wonderful service to our organization and keeping track of our volunteers and all of the things that we do really in our organization. So thank you, Jan. And we have a new bookstore manager. Her name is Rachel Rowley. Rachel has been a volunteer with our bookstore for many years, and so she'll be taking over that role, and we're really excited to have Rachel joining us. And we are making some minor renovations in our bookstore, another reason to swing by and check it out and pick up your membership brochure. And that's about it for now. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have about the Friends and what we're doing, but that's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Any questions for Mary Beth?
What are the Friends doing? Do you have any new initiatives that we should know about?
Well, hiring a bookstore manager was an initiative. We recently named our bookstore Second Editions. We don't have the name up yet, but that is going to be the name of our bookstore. And we are really excited to hear what Rachel has in store for initiatives for us as well. So stay tuned.
Rachel being the...
Rachel Rowley, our new
Okay, I was
manager.
gonna
yes. Oh, not, yes,
As
no,
a-
sorry.
as a
yes.
Rachel. As a
Rachel
Rachel.
Rowley, yes.
Rachel Rowley,
Yes.
okay.
So stay tuned.
Okay.
I have a question about the bookstore. What are the hours?
The hours that the library is open.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome.
Now, are you guys just at Maine? I think that's the one that I
Yes.
frequent.
Well,
Is it-
the bookstore itself
is at Maine, but
is
you
at
guys-
Maine,
okay.
but there are books for sale available at both Northport and Carlson as well.
Which do amazingly well.
Yeah, so
It's amazingly, yeah. So there is, Friends have sale elements at all locations.
And people can drop off.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. People can drop off books to you. Is that how it works?
yes. Although, like, if it's a box of books, that's one thing. If you have like a garage full of books, maybe talk to us first about it. We have very limited storage. That's one of our constraints is that, so we have to be really cognizant of what's coming in. And then the other thing with that is that, we're so grateful for donations, and it's obviously what keeps our bookstore going. At the same time, we can't sell everything. There are things that just don't sell. And, and so if you're wondering whether it's something that, we could sell in our bookstore, happy to answer those questions. For anybody, give us a call, give the friends a call, and we'll let you know.
What sort of things do not sell?
Or what are you guys looking for?
Yes,
Start with the
those are both great questions. Things that don't sell are things like old textbooks, old encyclopedias, romance novels are not, believe it or not, not a big seller.
I heard Jen once say, though, one of the best sellers for the store and for book sales is nonfiction.
Right.
You would think,
Yes.
and when I tell people that, it's almost like, really? I thought it would be just fiction.
Right.
No, but it's
Right.
it's the nonfiction. I remember Jan saying that explicitly. That, so if there's folks listening out there that have a garage full of nonfiction,
Right. Or just a shelf that's overflowing. I mean, how many of us sitting here have that? Maybe it's just me, but so we're happy to take your great books that you just have not enough room for. So anyway.
Are you also looking for volunteers at this time?
Yes, we're always looking for volunteers. We're not desperate for them, and my understanding is that we're not desperate for them, but we're happy to, if somebody is interested in volunteering, by all means, swing by our bookstore or reach out to the friends or me, and we'll talk to you all about it.
Are you guys still looking for board members, or are you guys at full capacity?
We are full right now with a great group of folks, and but in I think a year we'll be looking for 2 more members, and so I will come back then, tell you all about it.
Yeah, stay tuned. Well, do we want to grill Mary Beth more about
She knows all the
friends?
answers.
She does. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks for coming, and thanks for everything that you guys do. You guys help us help a lot. So,
Appreciate it. Yeah. It's fun. It's good
yeah,
work.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you. Okay. Now we have unfinished business, and under that we have none. So we've been taking care of business. That's what we've been doing. Okay, so now we're moving to new business. We got 3 policy drafts to review. They're all action items in your packet. Let's start off with the computer use policy draft.
right.
Tim, are you going to walk us
Sure.
through these?
And again, as a process of, continually going through our policies to reflect our strategic plan goals of making sure that we're removing barriers and customer focused. Certainly, the changes to the computer use policy there, and basically getting this up to speed with the current practice in terms of the computer use library card that you worked on previously, is really providing removing barriers, the $5 and this kind of thing, and really kind of expanding the various what we use for identification at the reference desk for folks to get a guest pass. So it's really a streamlining. It takes away barriers. It gets us in line with and acknowledges the Fargo Public Library computer use card. So it's kind of getting us, certainly in terms of strategic plan goals, and it's kind of a constant process of us working through these policies. So that's kind of the impetus for the changes that you see here in terms of the computer use policy draft.
Okay, so if anybody's looking for them, it's the crossed out sections in on
The red
second-
is the new, the crossed out is old.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about these changes or any other changes that they would like to have?
So can you clarify this sentence, individuals with acceptable identification? Is it any one of those?
Per the registration policy,
Or a social
or
security
in other
card
words,
blank
the
check?
registration policy is a separate policy that has a laundry list of identification accepted. We thought it would be cleaner just to reference the policy as opposed to adding another list within another policy of the same list that we have in registry.
So it's after that that's confusing to me. So do they need all of those other ones, or just
Or.
any one?
One.
Or a
It
social
could be
security blank check?
per the registration policy, acceptable identificant per the or, in other words, per that laundry list that exists in the registration policy, or it's more like in addition, or, we also accept social security card, blank check, tribal ID, stored on a phone, this kind of thing.
Got it, okay.
I think we need to insert the word or.
That's what I was gonna
Thinking,
say too.
Af-
One more or.
Yeah, after tribal ID, comma, or ID stored on a phone.
You got that, Betsy?
What's an ID stored on a phone?
Oh, yeah.
Am I
Nope.
behind the times here? I don't know what
I'm
that is.
afraid we all are, Rachel.
Okay.
It doesn't exist yet, but it will.
No, there's, people have pictures of IDs on their phone.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They
Okay.
can even project them sometimes.
They can use your eyeball now
Check,
too.
A card, yeah.
Retina screen.
Wow. Okay, more edits that people are seeing, or questions about this policy. Betsy, in a couple paragraphs down, because the Fargo Public Library has a secure computing environment, I think the P on the public should be capitalized to be consistent with everything else, which is minor, but,
Edge.
okay. Anybody see anything else with this policy? No. Okay, so it's an action item.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion. Yes, Betsy.
Goodness. I move to approve with the recommended changes.
Second.
Discussion, which we had already. Any further?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
How long do they lose their computer and library privileges if they, on the first page, if they don't comply? Is it just that day, or is it longer than that?
I think what we've done is, it's been kind of a 6-month thing. If you're really causing a problem, we can block your privileges for around 6 months.
How do you define really causing a problem? Is that accessing stuff that like they're not supposed to? Like what warrants a 6-month ban?
Well,
Policy.
that's,
Yeah.
It's been my experience, as in multiple locations, multiple libraries, multiple organizations, that individuals, especially in terms of computer use, they'll just come back and do the same things over and over and over. And it becomes a drain on staff, it becomes a drain on the environment, it's really a distraction for the other people that are there to reasonably use the service. So yeah, we see it as kind of, we warn them maybe once, and then after that, depending on what they're doing, certainly if it's not in conjunction with breaking the policy, yeah, it can be 6 months.
is it always 6 months? Is that like part of the policy, like 6 months every time?
I
It doesn't list it, so I was just wanted to know. Is it like a consistent 6 months every time?
Well, let's put it this way, if they're intoxicated and that kind of thing, then that's 2 years in terms of being trespassed, so, which is itemized here. So that, again, is a little bit more, that's a real more egregious situation than obviously some of the other ones listed there. So I would say that that's an exception.
Okay. But usually if they're like loud or boisterous and they've been warned, then they get like a 6 month.
Well,
Can't use the
it
computer.
depends on, if they start causing, and, different locations deal with different issues. I would say Carlson deals, which is not unusual, with a school right next, a library right next to a school after school, and things can get very, very boisterous, and can get kind of chronically boisterous, at which point you can say, you know, and again, it's a drain on staff, it's a drain on the entire environment, especially at Carlson where everybody's just, it's essentially this giant room.
Yeah.
So if you really are egregious about it, yeah, then it's like, you know, give the opportunity, talk to you. If you're just gonna just cause problems,
Then it's always 6 months. That's like the way you always do every time.
as much as, again,
Okay.
if, unless you're drunk and
Then
what
it's more.
have you.
Okay. I just wanted to know for sure because I didn't see it spelled out in the policy. Is that listed in a policy somewhere, like the amount of time, or?
You know, I think we have a procedure that's related to this. If this board interest to have that information specific to the policy, we can put it in here.
I'd just be interested to look at it.
Yeah, I guess I'd be
related to
curious
that.
what a, yeah.
Make the penalty fit the crime.
Yeah,
That's hard because it's kind of, you know, sometimes it's discretion too.
right. Why are folks limited to 60 minutes? Is it because the computers are hot commodities and you need turnover, or are there computers that are just always available but yet we limit it, or?
You know, it's you know, we're getting started on this, and it's kind of monitoring kind of overall usage and availability, and again, trying to, you know, certainly something we can revisit based on overall usage. Certain times of the day, certain libraries, I mean, things max out and people are waiting. So there's that aspect that happens too.
I'm
So-
thinking of like a student or somebody applying for a job or something where, and you know, maybe an hour is not sufficient.
And again, we can't on an individual basis, you know, especially if, and again, if they go and get a library card, you know, then they can have a regular, and not want more than 60 minutes, they can have a regular, if they get a regular library card, then they can get the regular standard amount.
Oh, okay.
See, this is,
Just for
these,
folks that
see,
don't-
what we've discovered is there's folks that just want to use the internet
yeah.
to do this and that or what have you. And we don't make a judgment call within the policy in terms of weighing what this person is doing versus what this person is doing. It's more of, you know, that's in true, but the internet-only card, knowing there's folks, they don't want to check out books, they don't want to do anything else, they just want to come in, get it, look at their email or what have you, and that's it. So this is kind of changing our overall policy from get a library card and, you know, follow those steps and then have access to the internet. This is opening it up for, before we had the tourist pass and then this kind of had for $5 if you were this and that. It's more of saying, okay, we can have a guest card, you know, a guest pass card, you have minimal identification, you get on for an hour. So essentially this is expanding access than what we had before.
Have we had any complaints about that time period?
Not that it's come to mind.
No, okay.
Has staff gotten any feedback on the access card so far? Any of
can.
you guys?
Beth Post, I'm a deputy director, and I also work coordinating reference, so I'll probably deal with this one as much as anybody does. Yes, there will always be some who complain about any amount of time. And the big thing is the guest pass is, yes, 1 hour, and it's a number of people with Fargo IDs who choose for whatever reasons, like Tim cited, they don't want to take the 5 minutes to fill out the card, even though to fill out the form because they're eligible for a full library card, but choose not to. Then they would have 4 hours, and we're happy to have them. There will be some who don't qualify for, don't have, you know, proof of residence or anything. It's amazing the number of people who don't carry any sort of ID with them. That would allow them to get the full card that day. So there are intermittent people. Well, such and such library doesn't do this, and then it's sort of like, okay, but this is our policy. This is this library's rules, not elsewhere in the country. It's infrequent that people complain that come up against the hour. Most people understand, okay, it's free, I'm not contributing taxes here, an hour's what I get.
Thank you.
Any further questions on, I know we gotta go through the action items again, but, maybe I'll wait for the discussion part of it. Okay, so, action item.
Is there,
Well, there was, do we have to redo it?
No.
No, we can leave it open. Okay, so we've had more any more discussion on this? No, okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, okay. Okay, one down, two to go. The next one is the, reference section.
This is similar in terms of, Beth, I don't know if you wanted to speak to this, but I see this as, again, us looking at goals set by the strategic plan in terms of removing barriers and having patron-focused services. And you can see the amount of stuff that's crossed out to kind of really streamline it, and still, and provide service and kind of update the kind of mode and method approach in the language to make that up more to how we're actually doing it. So, again, it's work done by Beth and the reference staff, looking at how they want to provide service, looking at application of strategic plan goals. And so what you see there is obviously the crossed out is the old, the red is the new. And again, it's us continuing to strive to meet the goals of our strategic plan in terms of customer focused and removal of barriers.
Who wrote the new? Yeah, what's in red?
That's it.
Steve Hubbard. Oh,
Yeah, our reference library, I tasked Steve Hubbard with it. There were a couple of edits, but he was the main source for it.
well, tell
So-
him I like the alliteration.
So there's no cost to the individual if it's like 30 minutes or less of library staff time?
Correct.
Okay, how, that works well for you guys?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Questions for Beth? You might want to just want to stay up there because we have another policy coming. Okay, this is more discussion in general about this. It's an action item, so
Move to approve?
Second.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, that's passed. Moving on to the last one, which is the service policy.
Yes, and with this one is 2 additional items to the rules of conduct, and again, looking at strategic plan goals, providing safe and welcoming spaces for library visitors. You have the first item being, with the exception of law enforcement, the possession of firearms and/or dangerous weapons is prohibited on library property. I obviously had a discussion in regards to this with the city attorney's office. They like the language as presented. The next one, again, is just a kind of a housekeeping, but certainly a safety issue too. Especially, you have people that like to leave their stuff sitting around. And for them, that's not safe either, because it just goes missing. I mean, it happens. So it's really clarifying that you can't do that. You got to keep an eye on your own stuff. We're not going to watch it for you. We can't police it, and keep it close to you, and keep your stuff safe.
I'm curious about this word confiscation. Your lawyer's okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Which paragraph are you looking at, Carlos?
The second one in red,
Okay.
the very last word.
Now, obviously, they'll come back and we'll just give it back to them, but just tell them, hey,
Yeah.
you need to keep track of your stuff because, hey, we don't want you coming to us saying, my cell phone got stolen. My laptop's gone. My backpack's gone. It's happened. And what happens then is then staff time are involved in terms of alleviating that situation by providing security footage, working with PD. I mean, it just kind of adds up. And if there's one thing that is our tightest economy is staff time. So the less of that kind of thing that happens, the less time we have to spend alleviating those situations after the backpack's gone, the laptop's gone, the cell phone's gone.
Is this something staff does, or is it the security people? Would they also be taking things to like a designated area, or?
I would say that it would be staff in conjunction with security staff.
Okay, security would let them know and staff would go get it?
Yes, once we have this in here, we can have some education on the staff side and the security side of how we want to approach this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's interesting in terms of figuring out what's the security's role versus what's the staff's role, and if they disagree, who prompts that.
Well, it's always been a clarity with our discussion with security staff is staff.
Staff rules the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's a constant discussion, obviously. But the way I would see this happening is that on the second floor, staff or security or whoever would notice unattended stuff, go back again, it's still there, bring it to the reference desk, say notify security, everybody up there, okay, if somebody's looking for this and that or whatever, here's where it is. First floor would go to the circ desk, same kind of thing.
Do these updated policies get posted somewhere as well, so patrons know about them?
They go on our website.
Okay.
I've learned that papers posted on walls, people don't read them, essentially. Certainly, we'll have every updated policy posted on our website, certainly discussed with staff going forward as the changes occur.
Beth, have you guys, or staff, have you guys noticed that when somebody's violating a policy, are they like, where's the is there pushback? Okay.
Yes, which at both reference desks, both at Carlson and at Maine, and I'm certain the Maine service desk at Northport as well, we have the rules of conduct in specific on 11 by 17 sheets, larger point type than you see here, done as a trifold, and we highlight the appropriate section and hand it to the customer showing. And this is why we get the policies updated, so that we have the backup as staff and have the words in paper approved by you with the force of that to give to the customer saying, no, work with us here, please.
In terms of leaving things unattended, is there, you were giving an example, Tim, of, noticing something and then coming back later, it's still there. I know when I've spent long periods of time at the library, I would leave my, bag and go to the restroom or something, like my backpack, and go to the restroom. Is that something people need to be concerned about?
I would say that, we're not into gotcha.
Okay.
Again, the goal here is to alleviate what we run into when said thing is stolen.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah.
And again, we're not out to get people, but it's like, if people are making rounds and it's been like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and I swear to gosh, I've run into instances so many times where people have said, well, my such and what got stolen, and you need to get on the security camera. So I'm watching the security footage. The individual walked away and left for 45 minutes. I don't know what the thought process was. You leave a laptop sitting in a study room for 45 minutes in an urban situation. So no, it's not that, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to be waiting for somebody to move away from their stuff, and then we're going to, it's more of, hey, we've been walking around and that phone plugged into the wall next to that chair has been sitting there for like an hour. Okay, we're going to hold on to it until before somebody walks off with it and we get a request for security footage. So.
And I think the other thing I would add is study rooms and study spaces. It's like you can't put a bag in a study room and reserve it for 3 hours, go out to lunch, whatever, come back, and deprive other customers of use of the space.
Oh, yeah, to mark your territory, yeah.
Yep.
I got a question about the people who are on the first page, engaging in any behavior which may unreasonably interfere with the rights. It's the fourth rule down of other patrons to use the library is prohibited. The next part is the one that this includes but is not limited to sleeping and or exhibiting offensive personal hygiene. So appropriate attire must be worn, shoes and shirts. So can you, because we have a homeless a person on staff that's supposed to help address the needs of.
It's not, let me clarify. That person is not a library staff person.
Okay.
They are a staff person of the Gladys Ray Shelter, and their primary responsibility in, if there's a need at the shelter, that's where they are. Now, we can call them for assistance, and they have various hours that they are present at the main library, but as a general rule, they're not there day-to-day like I'm there, like Beth's there, like Betsy's there, or whoever. They're kind of coming and going. So, I just wanted to clarify
Sure, no,
that.
yeah. Because it seems like that should be more of like instead of see you later type situation, it should be more of an intervention type. How is that situation handled when somebody?
Again, we see our role, I see that as, again, we can get them in touch with Jillian Gould, who is the outreach person, and work then. If this individual refuses any kind of assistance and is causing issues, we still need a policy to follow up, to lessen, to say, well, we're not going to allow, if you're not going to seek help, if you're not going to utilize the resources that we're providing, that they're there to assist you, instead, you're going to go against library policy, then we're going to ask you to leave. We've had situations, and I can't think of a time where we utilized in terms of the hygiene thing as an issue, other than as a signal to really get to contact like Jillian or whoever to say, we have an individual, can you ID them, they need help, this are the issues we're running into. Because ultimately, as much as we work and it's part of the urban landscape of public spaces, ultimately, we'll do everything we can to help all our patrons, though we are ill-equipped, as a general rule, on a daily basis, to provide social services within the staff confines that we have. We just don't have it. So, in some instances where we can do the best we can, and if folks don't avail themselves of that, our primary mission is to provide library services. And if we try to do both, I think we'd do a very poor job of both. So we understand our responsibility in regards to the homeless and the vulnerable. At the same time, we still need to be clear in terms of our mission of providing library services for the whole public. And so that is not there to denigrate any individual or group or what have you, but it's for us to provide parameters for us to be successful, to provide our primary mission.
Questions about that, because I have something else I want to ask about. Okay, so 2 down from that, the use of that paragraph about users of portable electronic devices may be asked to disable sound so as not to create a disturbance for other customers. Use of camera phones and other electronic recording devices on library property is prohibited. It seemed like this was a repeat of, and then when you go on the back, the right above the bolded with the exception, right above that one, photography and video recording within the library without the private approval of library administration is prohibited. Just kind of seems like those, is there a big difference between those paragraphs that I'm missing? Do we need both? What's the?
I guess what we were, maybe clumsily, but what we were reaching for on the later one is we do have legitimate folks, photographers coming in to take graduation photos, wedding photos, group photos, legitimate group, and within the space. And so what we were trying to accomplish there is that we set them down and say, okay, that's fine. Just so you understand, when you come in, you can't say, okay, this is the designated photo space, so no one else can walk in there. No, taxpayers, they can come and go as they please. That's the primary function of the space. So we wanted to allow the photographers to come in and do, the professional photographers, and they do that on a wide basis, but still within the parameters so we don't lose, because we've had groups that come in and try to take over the circ desk and this kind of thing, and it's just like, let's allow it, but allow it in parameters, essentially. I mean, if we could look at better language to kind of tie the two together to define it better, but certainly the goal with the second one was to allow.
More like a business type.
Exactly.
Setting.
And the other one is individuals with phones
Sure.
doing illegal stuff.
What about Google glasses? You know, the glasses that you wear that you could be filming everybody. If
I
you
wouldn't
wanted.
know if they had them.
You wouldn't. Yeah. I wonder which one covers that.
Portable electronic devices.
Portable electronic.
I think it falls in.
You have to take your glasses off.
Okay, one more thing. So, and then that's all I have, on this one. But, and this is just, grammar, or I don't know how this read. So so right below the second bolded one on the second page, for purposes of these rules of conduct, as to the main, comma, downtown, comma, library, comma, the term library property shall mean, the whole main, comma, downtown, comma, library, what are they? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Again, this is language directly from the city attorney identifying the property, defining library property downtown.
Okay, but yeah, what does the sentence above that mean? As to the main downtown library?
It should probably just.
Is it just the main, that's the main location, the main public library? That's what they're trying to say?
Is the city attorney's name Gongora?
It's
That's a
using,
pretty Baroque sentence there.
yeah, it's using the commas to indicate a parenthetical expression. Downtown is synonymous with Maine.
Oh, as to the main, oh,
But the Carlson
Yeah.
Library is capitalized and Northport Library are capitalized as like the proper names of the library. Is it called the main library?
yeah, because in the reference one, we have main library,
Shouldn't
capitalized. Should we
yeah.
can you just swap out and, yeah, well, get rid of downtown, just capitalize main library, like we did for in the first paragraph of the reference policy.
Okay, rid of downtown, just say main capital, library capital.
Library, yeah.
I think from now on, any sentences this long should be written in verse.
Okay, any other, oh, Betsy's coming up.
I actually have one.
Yeah.
I should have caught this earlier. In the 6th point, the telephone's located one, it says refer to the nearest public payphone. We have courtesy phones. We don't have payphones.
Okay, so switch public payphone to
Courtesy phone.
Change
courtesy. Okay,
public payphone to nearest courtesy phone.
okay.
And those are located at every library that we have. If that's okay.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else see any edits to this policy? Okay, so it's an action item.
Move to approve with the corrections suggested.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, it is passed. So it sounds like maybe next meeting, Tim, we'll find out, way back to the first policy about the punishments, right?
Computer time frame.
Computer, yeah, okay, great. Okay, so we're done with that, and public comment, another month, no public, one of these days. The next regular meeting is December 17th, and we are adjourned.